This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Veltima Fungicide, the proven #1 for the toughest corn diseases with long-lasting residual, when you need to be confident your fungicide will perform. I'm Ty Higgins. Ohio's Country Journal and Leist Mercantile bringing the coffee to you. We're stopping by rural coffee shops, diners, your favorite morning gathering spots across the state. And while we're there, the first 25 folks through the door get a free cup of coffee, a limited edition Ohio's Country Journal mug, and the latest issue of OCJ, all on us. Want us to visit your hometown hangout? Head to ocj.com/coffee shop and sign up your local spot today. New and now at ohioagnet.com, the Ohio Agribusiness Association Educational Trust has officially surpassed $1 million in scholarship support awarded to students pursuing degrees and careers in agriculture. Today, the Educational Trust has supported more than 944 Ohio students pursuing ag-related degrees and careers, helping develop the next generation of leaders in agribusiness, agronomy, communications, engineering, animal science, precision ag, and other agricultural fields. You can read more about this scholarship program online now at ohioagnet.com. Memorial Day, of course, kicking off the unofficial start of grilling season across Ohio and the country, and Americans are continuing to put beef, pork, and chicken on the menu, even as some meat prices hit record highs. But why are beef prices so high? Consumers might be wondering that as they go to the meat case for the first time in some time for the grilling season. American Farm Bureau economist Bernt Nelson explains.
So this has been a process in the making over 5 to 7 years, honestly. We're now at the lowest cattle supply in 75 years. Now, this supply has been brought on by drought conditions, increased operating costs, and some disease issues, even at this point, or pest issues that have led our farmers to liquidate herds. When you think about a drought has some pretty serious impacts on pastures. Sometimes it's short term, sometimes it can last for years to come. And when that happens, it makes it more expensive and costly to maintain your cattle, whether you're hauling hay in, bringing water. All of those things add up. When you add or combine higher interest rates, other operating costs, things like that, you have a lot of barriers to staying in the market, especially when cattle prices are getting better. It gives folks a good reason to retire, and it makes it hard to hold on to those cattle. And so that's how we've ended up with this better cattle supply. And at the same time, again, that stronger demand has really been the key to this, because supplies without demand doesn't hold prices. That demand has remained intact. It shows that consumers are still willing to keep purchasing meat.
As Nelson mentioned, it took a few years to get to where we are with the low cattle supplies. It's going to take a few more years to get us out of this tight spot.
Yeah, it really will. And that's something that's really important to wrap your mind around when we talk about this stuff, is how long it takes to rebuild the cattle herd. It takes incentives to the producer. When we think about the farmer and rancher, there has to be a reason for them to stay in this business. And so when you have barriers to entry, like I said, that we just talked about, those interest rates, those operating costs, and even the cost of buying cattle, when that farmer or rancher decides that they want to keep back a heifer, a first-time calving animal, that calf is born, the decision is made, and we have about 2 years before that calf has a calf of its own that can lead to meaningful expansion in the cattle herd. So if that situation happens right now, that means that it would be about 2028 before that would show up as expanding the cattle herd.
That's Bernt Nelson with American Farm Bureau. Let's get a check of the forecast brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
Sunshine and blue sky helping us to enjoy this day. Warmer air settling in with the sunshine as well. That's going to be the theme for a large part of this week. Warmer air as it dominates the landscape. Now, to be clear, in the deep south, there is moisture pretty much all week long. Some of that moisture is going to try and make a run at us here in the state. I think that the northern part of the state is dry basically from today right on through this week and all of next week as well. But in southern Ohio, especially south of I-70, I think we have to watch for some scattered showers tomorrow night through Wednesday morning midday, maybe a second round Wednesday afternoon into early Thursday. We pull that back a little bit to finish the week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are dry. I think we have to watch for some moisture trying to come back, though, on Sunday, the 31st, at least in southwest parts of the state. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. Of course, today, a day of reflection across the country. Here's Ohio AgNet's Joel Penorwood.
A quick personal thought on this holiday. We live in a busy world full of noise, news, and never-ending change. But here we are on a unique day that defies this. Memorial Day, an opportunity to slow down, reflect, spend a moment to do just what it is named for. Remember those who have fallen. Now, maybe it's your annual tradition, or you haven't done it since you were young, or maybe never have. But I'd encourage you to visit a local cemetery today. Hopefully one that's having a service this morning. Spend time walking amongst the headstones and listening to the peace around you, and look for those that have a flag planted near them. What a contrast to think of the quiet that envelops us in that moment, versus that time when a soldier who was willing to die for you and me did just that. And as a bugle sounds taps in those cemeteries, let it ring over our hearts as well. And as you go from that special place of solitude and ring in the unofficial start of summer, I think we're all better for taking these special moments on this special day in a special place to remember all we have and those who've made it possible here on Memorial Day.
Thank you, Joel. Well done. The Ohio AgNet continues after this.
Hi, I'm Tyler Miller, a soybean farmer from Crawford County. When I grow soybeans, I'm not just raising a crop, I'm creating fuel at home. Biodiesel adds nearly $2 to our bushel price and strengthens our energy independence. If you're not using biodiesel on your farm, now's the time. If you're not sure how to get it, ask your local fuel supplier. Ready to turn last year's crop into this year's fuel? Learn more at soyohio.org.
This message is brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Be aware, ticks are there. As you head outdoors, remember to avoid tall grass, wear light-colored full-coverage clothing, and use EPA-registered repellent. Be sure to thoroughly check for ticks after you head in for the day. If you find any ticks, remove them carefully with tweezers and watch for symptoms such as fever, headache, or rash. For more information on ticks and tick bite prevention, head over to ohio.gov/ticks.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and for today's featured audio, we're getting into the weeds. Literally. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me today is Calvin Canfield. Calvin is a agronomy service representative with Syngenta. Calvin, weather and weeds, probably the two big topics we see. You're up in Michigan, I'm down in Ohio, but it's pretty much a common theme. The weather has really been challenging this spring, and when it's fit, guys just want to go. The challenge is, in some cases, they may not have had an opportunity to get out there in advance with a herbicide program. And as everybody knows, with all the challenging weed pressure we have, especially those that have a lot of herbicide resistance, we need to be paying attention to that. What are you seeing, and what are you talking to guys about right now?
Yeah, right now, everybody's trying to get going. Weather finally got good up here in Michigan. We see some rain coming. So if we're not chasing the planter, getting our residuals down, then we got to start thinking about what our options are, come after the rain, and what can we do? There's a lot of information out there about post control isn't going to always be 100%, so we got to start thinking residuals. If we're going to go out and tackle some of these hard to control weeds, when we go out with a post material, we need to think residual. What of a group 15 can we get out there? What kind of residual to kill the seed, not the weed, can we put out there to get longer control, tough to control weeds? Don't let them get ahead of your crop.
A lot of times we talk about using products that have multiple modes of action. What are some that you found that have been pretty effective in dealing with these challenges?
Modes of action, as many modes of action as we can get out there to control these hard control weeds. The group 15s, the long chain fatty acid inhibitors, that's going to be one of our number one lines of defense against the hard to control weeds like water hemp. Still a great tool, still working in a lot of our areas, and it's a great option. So the group 15s, some of our PPO inhibitors, they're still doing a good job, especially pre or once those weeds just barely come up. We can get pretty good control as long as they're not getting too big. Those are really effective still in a soybean crop.
Calvin, a program approach. Let's talk a little bit about what that practically looks like.
Yeah, the program approach that I take is we're going to be chasing that planter. I want you to go out as soon as we get planted and put down a good multiple mode of action material. 3 modes of action would be ideal. The more modes of action, the more spreading the risk of resistance. There's a good university data that shows more modes of action, less chance of resistance. So first thing in this program is let's get a good product following planting. And then after that first residual shot, I want you to come out again. Let's clean up the escapes. If we had a few water hemps or whatever weed we're trying to control come out. We need to clean those up before they get too tall. I'm going to say 3 inches is that max height I want to see somebody trying to clean up a field. And then let's throw another shot of residuals. The Group 15s, that's a great material for water hemp and a lot of these hard to control weeds. Throw that in with your post material, recharge that soil with that residual chemistry, and then hopefully we'll make our way through canopy and not have any more weed problems for the season.
It's expensive to go across and try and chase these weeds.
Once the problem's here, it just gets more and more expensive. If we're trying to make multiple applications of a post material, it's equipment wear and tear, it's fuel going across the field. And if we could have got multiple days of control with a residual herbicide, I feel like that's the best way to maximize your dollar spent on a herbicide program versus 3 or 4 options of different post materials trying to kill a weed that's already damaging the crop, impacting your yield potential.
Well, Calvin, if folks have questions and need more information, who should they talk to, or is there a good website to go to?
Yeah, talk to your local retailer that's got access to our Syngenta sales reps, and the Syngenta website always is a great resource.
And that's a real easy website to find at Syngenta.com. My guest again today is Calvin Canfield. He's an agronomic service representative with Syngenta. Calvin, thanks so much for your time. Keep up the great work.
Excellent. Thank you, Dusty.
We'll get a check of the markets and analysis coming up next as the Ohio AgNet continues.
Bottom of 31 sold them 30,000.
Get ready to bid on the heavy equipment and vehicles you need in a Ritchie Brothers Midwest Regional Auction happening June 25th. Inventory is housed at Minneapolis, Kansas City, Chicago, Columbus, Detroit, and Lincoln locations. Choose from a wide selection of construction and transportation equipment. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit rbauction.com/Chicago to sign up. Again, that's rbauction.com/Chicago.
If agriculture is your way of life, you need news you can count on. That's why Ohio farmers turn to Ohio's Country Journal, your source for the latest in crop updates, livestock insights, market trends, and the stories that celebrate country life across our state. Every issue keeps you informed, connected, and ready for what's next in Ohio agriculture. So don't miss a beat. Renew your subscription or sign up today at ocj.com/renew and grow with the publication built for Ohio farm families. That's ocj.com/renew.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and today's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets are closed today in observance of the Memorial Day holiday. However, on Friday, the market started to push pause a little bit early because of the 3-day weekend. Volume was very, very low. There were some exporters that sold corn on Friday. Estimates are that managed money was long net 260,000 contracts of corn and 190,000 contracts of soybeans as of last Friday morning. Net short 35,000 contracts of Chicago wheat. That fund length in corn and soybeans historically large for mid-May. Most of the market is going to start to look at weather, not just domestically but globally, because the tightening of grain and oilseed stocks globally is going to be a story moving forward. Most are expecting winter wheat production to be trimmed another 10 to 30 million bushels in this country. U.S. exporters on Friday morning sold 24 million bushels of corn to Mexico and unknown destinations. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. Corn and soybeans ending out last week higher, the wheat on the downside. Corn for July up by a penny at $4.63 1/4. September $4.69 3/4, up a penny and a quarter, and December corn up by a penny and a half at $4.86 1/2 after Friday's trade. Soybeans for July $11.96 1/2, up by 2 1/4. August a penny and a half higher at $11.95. Soybeans for November $11.87 3/4 and up by a penny. Wheat for July down a penny and a quarter Friday at $6.46 1/4. September $6.59 1/4, down 1 3/4, and December wheat $6.79 a bushel, down by a penny and 3/4 as well. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. On the livestock side, June live cattle up 15 cents at $249.30. August $239.60, up 25 points. October live cattle down 22 at $230.72. Feeder cattle for September, $346.90 down $6.47. October down $6 even at $343.62, and June lean hogs up 62 cents at $95.75. The July $100.40 up 37 points. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins. We'll see you down the road.